Yesterday, as I'm sure all of you are aware, Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, was the site of the latest school shooting to hit the United States. As we will describe, there have been dozens this year because America is America. And because of that, the fact that there was this horrendous shooting and people lost their lives was met not with a promise by our elected leaders to do better, to finally solve the problem, to do whatever it takes to make sure that there's not another one of these. Instead, what did we get? You know, we get two things actually, not just one, two things, thoughts and also prayers. And we get those because they're cheap, they're free in fact. You could just give them out. You don't have to do anything. That would infringe on the rights of the people you actually care about protecting. And so politicians immediately went to Twitter to give those thoughts and those prayers. And thankfully this time, people are actually striking back against them for that. So after Marjorie Greene tweeted this, "Let us join together in prayer for the victims of the school shooting and their families, just as these students of AHS circled together in prayer today." So yes, let's do that. Now, I know some of you out there might be critical of this, and you might be thinking, well, thoughts and prayers don't work. They don't actually stop these shootings. But you can't say that for sure. All that you can say is the hundreds of times that Marjorie Greene and others have said this before hasn't stopped another school shooting. It could be that this time, thoughts and prayers and no action whatsoever. Thoughts and prayers, nothing about guns. Thoughts and prayers, nothing about actually saving the kids from being gunned down by these weapons of war. Maybe this time it will work, and it could, but it won't. And I think that we all know that. I think she knows that. I think she knows that and says it anyway and doesn't care at all. Now, thankfully, that tweet was met with, derision, like the sort of attacks that it deserves, because you're not doing anything. Here's what you did. You put an image in a tweet and you said, I don't know, pray or whatever. And then she goes on back about her life. She's a millionaire, by the way. Remember that. Never forget. I know that we all think of her as being like, just some regular conservative. No, she's a she has tens of millions of dollars. She's that sort of rich, disconnected Republican that cares about the financial interests of gun manufacturers and the NRA and that sort of thing. She goes to those fancy dinners or whatever, and then your kids get gunned down and you get thoughts and prayers, and that's what you get. And then she goes back to another gala or whatever. Well, thankfully, some people are not accepting that this time. The father of a 17-year-old who was killed back in the Parkland shooting said, "I'm just listening to the quotes from members of Congress and they're praying. They're asking us to pray. And everyone is listening to them. You have a governor in that place that is asking us to pray, to join his family and pray. That is not enough, and that is not working. Shame on anyone that is praying today instead of reacting before." By the way, if you're a regular person and you want to pray as a result of this, whether you think it'll stop it or not, maybe it's just a thing that you think would help you, that's fine. You can do that. Her prayers would do nothing if she were even praying. Let's be very clear. Marjorie Greene did not drop down and pray over the people who died in this. She didn't. No. She tweeted about praying. That's it. You think she took 10 minutes out of her day to pray? You think that she cares? She might, by the way, if it turns out that it was a migrant who did the shooting, then maybe she would, she'd go into a press conference or something, I guess. But barring that, I don't think that she cares. I don't think any of them do. Now, some of them are going to try to politic around this. So let's go to Donald Trump. Here is his response to what happened.
Our prayers are with our friends in Georgia. And I've been doing town halls and interviews in public with you for all these years since you got into the political arena. And I told this audience, never before have restrictions been so tight, obviously after the assassination attempt as well. And Director Wray said the threat level has never been this bad. He said it 5 consecutive times before Congress. What is going on?
Well, it's a sick and angry world for a lot of reasons. And we're going to make it better. We're going to heal our world.
Yeah, there's a lot of sickness and there's a lot of anger. I think it comes from a lot of sources. Not all of it is on the right, but I think he's encouraged a little bit of the sickness and a little bit of the anger, I think, and he's going to heal the world. Maybe if Donald Trump gets into office, we can go back to the 4 glorious years we had where there were no school shootings when he was president. Oh, sorry, no, there were hundreds actually, and they did nothing to stop it, as nobody ever really does anything to stop it. Sometimes the Democrats try to, I guess, but it doesn't actually happen. And so what do? You get a call to give him power. Again, the question is like, how do we stop our kids from being killed? And his answer is, I want what I want. You give me what I want, and then something abstract. I'll bring people together or whatever. The restrictions have never been higher, Sean Hannity says. On what exactly? On getting an AR-15? No, it's pretty much like it's always been. It's easy. I mean, back in the 90s, it was very difficult. And hey, what do you know? Back in that point when the weapons were banned, there were less mass shootings like this. But no, you can just get one if you want. It's not super difficult, and Republicans don't want to do anything to make it more ridiculous. They don't want to make it impossible for these kids to get it. They don't even want like more disclosure, universal background checks, the sort of stuff that wouldn't even stop these shootings. They might make them a little bit less likely, that's it. They don't even want that stuff. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?